Hello, beautiful human. Thank you for stepping inside the grove. I'm Lucy. And every so often, I remind you that you are living, breathing art and that you deserve the world. Today's episode is about manifestation, but not in the way that it's usually packaged online. I know that a lot of us have been drawn to manifestation because at its core, it speaks something very real. It speaks to a part of us that knows we are not powerless, that our attention matters, our beliefs matter, our energy, choices, the way we speak to ourselves matters. But somewhere along the way, manifestation got turned into something very shiny and very marketable. And instead of helping people come home to their power, it's making people feel like they are the problem. I just want to gently pull that apart because what if you're not bad at manifesting? What if you're just trying to build a new life from an old nervous system pattern? What do you do when your mind can say, I want this, but your body is still bracing for the old outcome? What if you're not blocked? You are just not regulated enough yet to receive, choose, act, be seen, or even sustain the thing you're calling in. So let's start with the pattern and what I think mainstream manifestation is actually getting wrong. A lot of mainstream manifestation content teaches manifestation like it is mostly mental. Think the right thought, visualize the right image, repeat the right affirmation, stay in the right frequency. I'm not saying those things are useless, but when they are separated from the body, they can become another form of pressure. It's almost like spiritual perfectionism. You're not just trying to heal anymore. You're trying to be constantly magnetic, constantly abundant, constantly aligned and high vibe. And I think for sensitive people, creative people, neurodivergent people, people with trauma histories, people who grew up having to monitor the room, who are used to abandoning themselves for safety. That kind of manifestation advice can get really confusing because you might be repeating, I'm worthy, I'm safe, I receive easily, and I am abundant. But your body is like, no, we're not. Like, we're actually terrified. We do not trust this, and we're waiting for something bad to happen. And that doesn't mean the affirmation is wrong. It means there is a gap between the belief you are trying to install and the pattern your body is still living inside. That gap is where the real work is. Not forcing the affirmation harder, not shaming yourself for doubting, not pretending you're fine when your body is clearly saying, I need support. The real work is noticing. What pattern am I repeating? Where am I asking for a new reality while still organizing myself around the old one? A lot of manifestation teachings say, close your eyes and picture your dream life. See the version of you who already has it. And for some people, that works beautifully. But some people have very vivid visual imaginations. They can close their eyes, they can see color, detail, scenes, faces, rooms, future versions of themselves. But not everyone can do that. Some people have something called aphantasia, which means they have little to no voluntary visual imagery. So imagine being someone who literally cannot picture images clearly in your mind, and then every manifestation teacher tells you just visualize it. Of course, you might start to feel like something's wrong with you. And I don't think that means you're blocked. I think it means we need a wider doorway because imagination is not only visual. You can imagine through feeling, you can imagine through sound, through language, movement, emotion, values. You can imagine through choice. And I think that matters. Because if we reduce manifestation to visual imagery, we leave so many people out of the practice. Not just people with aphantasia, but also people who are burnt out, people who are dissociated or overwhelmed. So I want to say this very clearly. You do not have to see the future perfectly in your mind to move toward it. So instead of trying to fix the way your brain works, the more useful question is, how does my imagination naturally communicate with me? Manifestation, at its most grounded, is not just wishing. It's not sitting around and hoping the universe drops your life into your lap while you avoid the version of yourself required to hold it. Manifestation is a relationship between attention, belief, emotion, nervous system capacity, and action. Your attention matters because what you focus on shapes what you notice. When you name a desire clearly, your mind can begin scanning for related cues, options, opportunities, and evidence. This doesn't mean magical things can't happen, but it does mean that some of what we call synchronicity might also be our brain finally noticing what was already around us because we became available to perceive it. Your beliefs matter because they shape what feels possible. If this ability feels unsafe, you might want to be known and still hide every time the spotlight gets close. You might mistake healthy stability for emptiness. And your nervous system matters because the body has to be able to tolerate the new reality. So when the thing starts to come closer, it doesn't always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels threatening. And then we back away and call it sabotage. What if it's capacity? What if the work is not just believe harder, but build the capacity to hold the reality you keep asking for? That, to me, is where manifestation becomes embodied. Before you try to call something in, ask, what state am I calling this from? Am I calling this in from desire or desperation? Am I moving towards something aligned? Or am I trying to escape the discomfort of where I am? Am I connected to my body? Or am I trying to spiritually bypass what my body is telling me? Because sometimes we aren't manifesting from power, we are manifesting from panic. And there's no shame in that. I think most of us have done it. We want the new job because we are terrified of being trapped. We want the relationship because we are terrified of being alone. And again, those desires are not wrong, but the energy underneath them matters. Not because the universe is punishing you for being afraid, I don't believe that, but because fear changes how we relate to the desire. Fear makes us grip, fear makes us rush, it makes us override, and it makes us abandon our discernment. Fear makes us choose from urgency instead of truth. So before you visualize, pause. Before you affirm, pause. Let your exhale be longer than your inhale. Feel your feet, look around the room. Remind your body, I am here. I am safe enough in this moment. I do not have to force the future open. I can meet the next step from my body, not from my panic. That is manifestation too. Regulation is manifestation because a regulated body can choose differently. A regulated body can perceive more clearly and can take action without making every step mean everything. Okay? You are going to work with state, language, sensation, and action. So first, name the desire. Not the aesthetic version, the honest version. Not just, I want more money, but I want to feel stable enough to create without constantly bracing. Not just, I want to grow online, but I want my voice to reach the people who need it without abandoning my body to be visible. Then ask, what would become easier if this were already true? Would I speak more directly? Would I stop checking for permission? Would I post the thing? Now, instead of picturing the future, feel for the quality of it. Maybe it feels like warmth in the chest. And maybe it's just a word. Steady, open, held, clear, chosen, free. Let that word become the anchor, not a forced image, a felt direction. Then ask, what is one action that belongs to this state? Not 10 actions, not a whole life plan, one action. If I were someone who trusted my voice, what would I do today? If I were someone who believed my work mattered, what would I share? But action without regulation becomes burnout. The middle place is embodied alignment. A regulated next step, a choice that teaches your body, this is who we are becoming now. Let's talk about why people block what they want. You are not blocking the manifestation. Sometimes you are protecting yourself from the identity shift it requires. If you manifest creative success, you may have to let people misunderstand you and keep going anyways. To have peace, you have to stop bonding with chaos. And the nervous system doesn't always read new as good. Sometimes it reads new as unsafe. Even if the new thing is better, even if the new thing is what you prayed for and it's aligned. This is why people sometimes get the opportunity and freeze. They get the audience and stop posting. And you finally have the time to create, but you suddenly feel exhausted. And then we think, what's wrong with me? There's always something wrong with me. Something has to be wrong with me, right? But nothing is wrong with you. Okay, nothing is wrong with you. Your body is just standing at the edge of an unfamiliar reality, asking, can we survive this version too? And that is where compassion matters, because shame will not expand your capacity. You build capacity by providing safety in small doses. You do the thing and return to your body. You let yourself be seen and return to the body. That is the process. Not becoming fearless, but becoming able to stay with yourself as things change. So then what is manifestation really? For me, I think manifestation is not just attracting something. It is becoming someone who can meet what they are asking for. You are not waiting for the universe to hand you confidence. You are not creating evidence that your voice can be trusted. You are teaching your nervous system that readiness can be built one honest step at a time. And I think that's where the magic actually lives. Not in forcing the perfect thought, not in pretending fear isn't there, not in spiritually bypassing your body, but in the moment where you notice the old pattern. Pause. Come back to presence. Process what is actually happening and choose from power. That's where reality starts to shift, because you are shifting. So before we close, I want to leave you with something simple that you can actually do today. You can do this in a journal, on a walk, in your notes app, or just quietly to yourself. I do not care. Ask yourself, what am I trying to manifest right now? And then ask, what old pattern gets activated when I imagine actually having it? Not wanting it, having it, receiving it, being seen with it, and sustaining it. Letting it change your life. Notice what comes up. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's doubt or grief. Maybe it's a part of you saying, if I become this, people will judge me. Or if I'm visible, I won't be safe. Whatever comes up, don't attack it, don't shame it, and don't call it a block. Just say, oh, this is the pattern asking to be witnessed. Then put one hand on your body and ask, what would help me feel 1% safer becoming this version of myself? 1%, not a complete transformation, not a total identity collapse, just 1% safer. And then ask, what is one action I can take from this place? That's it. That is the practice. Pattern, pause, presence, process, power. That is manifestation as embodiment. Thank you for being here with me today. And if you want to keep exploring this bridge between spirituality, nervous system work, creativity, and becoming who you really are, then I'll meet you in the next one.